This is Dialogue. I'm Willy Bearden. You're in for a real treat today. I'm talking with Joyce Cobb, and if there's any person that you can call a Renaissance woman, it is Joyce Cobb. We've got a lot to talk about today, and I think you're going to find, even if you followed Joyce's career for many years, you're going to find out some things you didn't know. Joyce, welcome.
Howdy do. We meet again.
Yes, we do. It is such a pleasure
to
see you.
You're my favorite
great.
Storyteller.
Well, thank you so much. And I tell you, I have just, I've followed your career.
Thank you.
You know, I guess since you've been in Memphis.
Yes.
You know, I remember you played with Nico.
Oh, yeah. Always Nico.
Yeah.
Nico Leris.
Yeah.
He had a good-looking daddy, too, from Greece.
Oh, yes. Vagos.
Yes,
yes,
Vagos.
Right. I used to...
Shipbuilder.
Yes, he
Right.
was, yes. So there's a great connection here.
Yes.
You know, Joyce, when I started, you know, when I knew we were going to have this conversation, I was very excited about this. And so we do all the things that we do. I went to Wikipedia, and you've got a great Wikipedia page.
Dr. Cooper from the University of Memphis, thank you. He was the reason for that.
It's so well done. So well done. And I think it really gives a great overview of your career.
Thank you.
You know, not everybody is good at everything, but you are.
Well, I don't know. I need to practice.
Well,
at
you know,
piano and guitar. I wish I could do more of that.
Yeah, but you've done so much. And one of the things that I was interested in, and I thought, well, yes, this will certainly steer you in a direction, is that as a young girl, you went to Catholic school,
right?
And the music of the church,
yes,
informed a lot of what you do. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I developed my vocal ear. I was me and one other person handled the whole second alto section against 12 sopranos and maybe 5 altos. You know, so I developed a sight reading concept, and also the range and tone, and it nurtured me to be a vocalist. We used to pray, I hate to say it, but we used to pray every day that someone would pass on so that we could get out of class and perform the Requiem Mass. I mean, that's how Catholic it was to get out of school, to get out of the classes. But that was my formative years of development. And then, too, I grew up in a family. My mother was, they were both physical education professors, and my father was part of that Columbia Jazz Club. He had passion for jazz. He was from Missouri, Kansas City, St. Louis.
Sure.
So he had all of that passion of jazz music, Count Basie, Stan Kenton, and I developed that by listening every day to that kind of music. My grandmother kept the Grando Opry on radio all day long. Sure. So it was always that kind of environment that helped. It all helped. Yeah.
You know, so many people, you know, have their starts by, you know, listening to the radio, and it seems like in those formative years, those things you hear are the things that stick with you.
Absolutely.
And those are things that you go to. They're there in your pocket all the time.
Absolutely.
You were born in Oklahoma.
Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
Okmulgee, Oklahoma. And now, what part of Oklahoma is that? Is that in?
I think it's south. It's about 40 miles from Tulsa.
Okay.
You know, between Muskogee and Tulsa.
Okay. So that's around the Indian reservations? That area?
Total, and oil. We had a lot. Every time it would rain, you could smell the oil, petroleum coming from the ground. But yes, it was my grandmother, and I must say, you know, education was always stressed in my family. And even back in the young days of my grandmother, she knew the importance of getting a teacher's certificate to maintain her family, and was one of the first that attended Fisk University. And when Jubilee Hall all the classes were in one building in Jubilee Hall. So she was a teacher, and she taught in Muskogee and Okmulgee. And then, of course, my mother went to college at 16.
Wow.
At Lincoln University, Missouri, and that's where she met my father, and he was in college there, and so college was always an emphasis. If you do nothing, you will graduate from college.
Right.
Knowledge is power, and that's what the present president is stressing too.
Sure.
And put down the basketball and pick up the book.
Yeah, and that's a good path to follow. So then your family moved to Nashville.
Well, after my parents were married, this of course was during the 1945 is when my father is involved in the military. And he wanted to get a PhD, so he pursued that at Columbus, Ohio State. That's where he wanted to go. And he got a PhD in health and health education, physical education. And so the integration in my mind, I never had problems with black and white relationships because it was at an early age. I was on the campus of Columbus, Ohio, and I grew up with all the kids, and I ran the neighborhood.
Sure, I bet you did.
And Bobby Burkhaller, I never will forget him. He was my best friend. But and then my father's first job was Florida A&M, Tallahassee. So we received the Florida experience, and then he got an offer for Tennessee State, and that's where he stayed for maybe 20 years at Tennessee State University in Nashville. And that's all. I was raised in Nashville mostly, and now he has deceased, but we kind of followed Dad, and he ended up in Mankato State University.
Oh, really? In Minnesota?
In Minnesota.
Wow.
And they're there now. I mean, my family, my mother and sister, and the children and the nephews, nieces, they're all in Minnesota.
Wow.
I have a brother in San Francisco. He never left San Francisco, he and his family. Yeah. But we're kind of spread out. I don't have the privilege of having family like you do in the same place, you know, as you were raised. Yeah. But thank God I had parents that emphasized education.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Growing up in Nashville, how much did that hillbilly culture inform musically and just socially, you and your family?
Because of my dad and his passion, and my mom was a dancer, and she opened a lot of dance programs in high school and college. I was exposed to classical music, and I was exposed to jazz music, and my passion was, at that time, I fell in love with songwriting in Nashville. That's really the key of Nashville. Yeah. It's not really hillbilly, it's just, it's narrative writing, how to tell a story in 3 minutes, and of course there were so many artists at that time, and still are, that you could look up to as great songwriters. Right. And I kind of fell in love with the songwriters. And Dylan was my favorite. Of course, it kind of hit me like, this guy will live forever, with his lyric. In Nashville, I was exposed to WSM. Because I knew the American Pop book, the Hoagie Carmichaels and Cole Porter's. I was offered a job. It really wasn't a job, but it was like a volunteer, exposure. WSM, Teddy Bart Show. which was TV, and then Ralph Emery, which was radio.
Right.
At that time, they had live bands.
Okay, so
every day.
So you sang
on
the radio all the time?
All the time.
Wow.
And Dinah Shore started it in 1948.
Really?
Because in Nashville they had live bands. Good union, you know.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's like
keeping people working.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody read the music, and you had maybe time to go over one song, and then you do 3 in a show. And, you know, it's showtime, and the camera's on. That's it. Wow. You're ready. You got to be, you know. Wow. No mistakes, you know.
Well, and that makes me think about this. Several people, you know, we always talk about the difference between Memphis and Nashville.
Yeah.
I always think that, like, Nashville is everybody shows up on time, they're ready to rock and ready to do their job, and then they go. In Memphis, it's a lot looser.
Laid back.
Yeah, right.
That's what I like about it. You know, it's laid back, no pressure. Let's do lunch.
Yeah.
To me, Nashville is like L.A. It's got all of that, the atmosphere of L.A. And a lot of people are not not from Nashville,
right?
You know, that are in the music business. You know, all those 3-chord progressions in country music. Most of the musicians come out of Juilliard.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like really.
Yeah, sure.
I think marketing is the difference. Also, you have the major recording companies in Nashville. Always did. Yep. RCA, you know, Columbia, Atlantic, major labels were always there. And I remember when songwriters were peddling their songs in briefcases. This was before the internet. And they would knock on the doors of the publishing houses on 16th Avenue South, like they were peddling full of brushes, you know, and to listen to their songs and promote. So it's about publishing in Nashville. And also it's got a very strong aorta of health insurance, life and casualty. Has a lot of influence on the prospering of Nashville, growing. They consolidated in their government. I don't know if that helped or not, but as soon as they consolidated, Neiman Marcus moved in, so it must be something. But it's about marketing in Nashville, and I kind of encourage kids sometimes to go to Nashville. There's a rumor if you graduate out of Belmont College, you're automatically into the music industry of Nashville. It's an extremely music college in Belmont. And so, you know, it has over 62 colleges and universities in Nashville. It's known as the Athens of the South. So you have a lot of influx of people from everywhere to come and get education. Medical, Vanderbilt, you know, Ivy League. So it's a different animal, Nashville, and always has been. Where I fell in love with Memphis because of the black music that I was exposed to when I first visited Memphis. I saw the Barcades, and they had a python, and they were saying, "Your love is like the Holy Ghost." And I said, "Oh my God, I've got to move here." And I was doing well in Nashville, Nashville Symphony. I mean, but there was something that drew me to Memphis. And on top of that, I had a Stax deal. You know, that...
what year was this? What year did you come to Memphis?
That had to be 1974, 75, right when Stax closed.
So things were kind of imploding.
It wasn't meant to be. And I was supposed to, Jim Stewart brought me in. I was going to be a country and western artist. Me and O.B. McClinton were signed up to this subsidiary label to start Stax Country. I guess the Lord said, "No way, you know, we're not going to let that happen." And the doors were closed. But I went down to the river and meditated and thought, well, I could have moved back to Nashville. I really wasn't a songwriter. You know, I wasn't oriented to be a great songwriter. Performer, maybe, but I just decided Memphis just opened their arms to me, just automatically. Wayne Crook, Andy Black, Warren Wagner, Shoe Productions. They said, take the guitar down and come to my studio and start writing. And that's what we did. And I fell in love with shoe production. For many years, we were there. Developed a great studio band that started working out.
Right.
And we were so great and so powerful and tight because of studio.
Yeah.
We started getting gigs, and at that time it was Overton Square because Beale Street was all boarded.
Yes.
Nothing
right.
was happening downtown at all.
Yeah.
And Overton Square was the happening place. And we played Solomon Alford's, Trader Dick's, Bombay Bicycle, and of course Huey's.
Yes.
And that was my life for many years. And I just fell in love with the relaxation of Memphis and the love that the community gives.
Sure.
And I don't know how I deserved it, but
you certainly
I really
do.
have it. I really have love here.
You give so much in your performances. I mean, and that is a palpable thing. People feel like they know you when they've seen you sing one song.
I just want to be like you.
Yeah, no, I want to be like you. but you know what I'm saying. I
Yes.
mean, I'm sure you have made so many friends. I'm sure every time you perform, somebody comes up and says, "I'm so glad I was here. I needed to hear you."
Yeah, it's overpowering. It's just overwhelming how powerful music is.
Yes.
You go into the West Clinics, and when people are pumping chemo, and you sing, and they tap their feet. And you go into I work with creative aging here with Merrill Klein, and we perform in the facilities of the elderly. Some can't even move in their wheelchairs, but their foot is patting.
Right.
And they might give a sound that reacts. Music is, I think, the most powerful element of living, to me.
I would agree.
Yes.
And to have rhythm is to kind of move with the universe, I think.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
I was in my younger days. I was friends with Rufus Thomas, and when my oldest daughter was born, she was probably 3 or 4 months old. We were at a party, and Rufus was there, and he held her, and I said, "You know what? The only thing I wish for her," I said, "you know, more than money or education, I hope that she has rhythm, because if you got rhythm, you can kind of move through life okay."
Certainly.
And he said, "Oh, she got it." You know, and handed her back.
That's
so
great.
maybe he imparted some rhythm on,
he was
on that
wonderful.
kid.
He blessed all of us. He
really did. Once you got to Memphis, did you? I mean, was it a feeling that you would stay here forever?
Yeah, it was because of shoe productions.
Yeah.
They really, because I left. I didn't really leave Nashville. I came to just test the waters, why Stax folded, and the reality that it's not going to happen at Stax for me. And then I met all these wonderful people. It was like, you know, if you think about Memphis history, it just didn't fit. Because it was just a new day. Bell bottoms and afros at that time, 70s. And liberal and white and black relationships. And like I said, I never had problems.
Sure.
I know people that have problems on integrating mindset because they went to segregated schools.
Sure.
I was blessed going to integrated schools from day one, so it was just natural for me to relate to a person, not to a color.
Sure.
And it worked. I mean, I fell in love with the city. I saw it grow from Beale Street to Overton Square now, is now rebuilt. And I feel like I'm part of the history now.
Yeah. Well, you definitely are a part of the history.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So who are, I was thinking about all the people I've seen you play with. Name some of the musicians you've played with.
Oh, well, on the Memphis roster, we have like Nico Lyris.
Yeah.
We did production, Alethea. We worked in clubs several, and in the road a little bit. And then I have Willie Mitchell, and of course I did 3 years of writing at Willie's. It was a great experience. And might go back to Boo because he's doing a great job upholding big shoes to fill.
Yes.
And then of course Shoe Production. So the musicians, I would say Steve Potts and Lanny McMillan.
Oh, yeah.
They were my first hottest group. Dave Smith and Gene Nunez. And I worked with, of course, Alan Balter, Memphis Symphony. And now with Maestro Benjamin, who is, I've done work with him with the symphony. The Memphis Jazz Orchestra with Howard Lamb and Carl Wolf, the founders of. We worked for years. You know, the list goes on. As far as out of Memphis, I would say worked with the Hager brothers, the Wilburn brothers from Nashville. And maybe I worked on the same show with Al Jarreau, the Temptations, you know, list like that. But I was always blessed with Memphis Best musicians. Always have been blessed with them. And I now have great players with Jimmy Arnold and Mike Adams, Kent Suggs, and Kim Tremel. A woman drummer who's just exceptional. And Hank Sable, great storyteller. He's from Pennsylvania, but we won't tell anybody. But you know, always blessed with great music.
Why do you think that is? Have you just kept yourself open for that and approachable? And approachable.
And to be working with me musically, you really have to know the American pop book. Along with the rock and roll book, the Sun Record book, the Stax book, the High Cream book, because we do a lot of entertaining tours, which is a phenomenal thing here in Memphis. The American Queen, that's what they want to hear. But at the same time, my father always told me, and everybody has heard this story, but he said, if you learn the American pop book, you will sing a long time because everybody loves Gershwin and everybody loves Cole Porter, and you can even put it to hip hop. It still works, you know. So I think that was great advice, and so to be a musician for me, you have to learn all those books. And some musicians that are great, they don't really want to. You know, they want to do their own things, and the R&B and the hip hop, and you know, but you have to really learn the American pop book with me because and the Monk. You know, the more mainstream. I know I love Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk and Miles Davis, and so it has to be a bundle of things.
What do you? I know you've taught for many years.
Yes.
And another thing, you know, I mean, some people just teach, or but you've done it all.
Yes.
But maybe a two-part question: why did you start teaching?
Yes.
And how has that informed your art to today?
Well, okay, first question, the influence of my parents and my grandparents. They all came, you know, my great-granddaddy started the John Cobb School in Cape Girardeau. It was a post school for slavery kids. And that's the history. He has a plaque in Cape Girardeau. So education was always a necessity. Get the degree. So teaching just kind of came natural. Of course, Tim Goodwin at the University of Memphis encouraged me to teach. I said, well, I don't have an MA, I just have a BA. And I was pursuing an MA. But stopped at Wright State. But I said, he says, 30 years of experience, you're qualified to teach.
Yeah, I think you're a master
So
teacher.
I just teach what I know,
Sure.
and it works. And
What do you think you impart to these students? What are the things that you tell them that maybe they wouldn't get somewhere else or from someone else?
I tell them that to go back to Ella
Yeah.
and to June Christie, because some of these kids can only take it as far as Anita Baker or Lady Gaga, you know, and also the key of jazz is improvisation, the freedom to create your own melodies on the chord structure. That's the biggest challenge in teaching, because a lot of kids are scared of that.
Yeah.
They're scared to go across that line of melody or rhythm. And I think the hip hoppers really have it. They have that rhythm and the lyric, and they go out the lines, you know. And a great jazz singer is required to do that. So I emphasize the improvisation with jazz singing. But to also have the courage to get out and do it. There's so many things that you can, so little things you can do in a class or in a practice room. But the whole music scene is about getting out and doing it. You have to physically get your own band, book your own rooms, you know. And for women, you know, be a leader of your group, you know, have the courage to do that, and the knowledge, and learn the pop book.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it takes a lot of bravery to step out there, because nobody ever starts with the second gig. You got to do the first one.
Oh yeah.
You know, and nobody ever gets to start with the 100th song. You know, you got to write the first song.
Yes.
And do you see that a lot in your students? Can you look at someone and know who's gonna push on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know the ones that have the drive, that have the determination, that want it bad enough to go out and pursue their career in music. Songwriting is a passion. They're passions. What are your passions? I've got students that have the passion for the modern pop music, and we don't discourage that. We just we encourage to learn all of it. You know, learn all the genres of music, even opera. You know, classical. Appreciate it and attend it and learn from it. Expand. You know, that's pretty much all you have to do to pursue, and marry your producer that owns Sony.
Yes.
That's a great way.
There you go. That's a very good way to become successful.
Things like that.
You know, I think probably over the past few decades, there have been, you know, less and less opportunities for children to do public school music and things. When I was a kid in this little bitty school down in the Mississippi Delta, we had music 5 days a week. And we'd go in for 30 minutes and sing "This Land Is Your Land" and just, you know, but it was a part of the curriculum, and they don't do that anymore.
I don't understand that.
Why are we? I mean, we're definitely poorer, you know, for not doing that.
Well, I know a few elementary schools that do, and you go into their halls, and they have pictures of Duke Ellington, and they're teaching, and they're physically using musical instruments like the recorder and drums and rhythms, and but in general, I don't understand why it's not. In my Catholic school days, there was no music program.
Really?
Absolutely. We had to go to the boys' school, Father Ryan, to pick up an instrument and learn. My first instrument was clarinet, you know. Oh my God. Clarinet. Yeah, because it's a difficult instrument, you know. But we had no music program in parochial school. The choir was the teaching. So I don't understand, is it funding? I don't understand why all schools should not have a curriculum in music.
Yeah, I know that that NARAS, the National Academy, has certainly tried to push for more music education in schools, and I think they've been successful somewhat.
Absolutely.
You know, in that. So that maybe, but I just think that I think to talk about a well-rounded education, you must have music.
Just like physical education.
Exactly.
Some programs have been pulled out with physical education, and we're dying of diabetes and lack of exercise, and the lack of health knowledge. So it's all besides reading and writing and arithmetic.
Yeah.
There are other things that we have to learn to maintain a livelihood. Of course, when I told my parents I was going to be a musician, they just they cried. Oh no! And so we have reputations, good and bad in the music industry. But I've always encouraged, get your degree before you get into the music. Music will always be there.
Sure.
But get an ace in the hole. Get something that you can maintain a livelihood with. Right. That's an important thing.
In the early 80s, Beale Street came back.
Yes.
So how did you see things change over to kind of blues marketing and blues music started becoming important to Memphis? Whereas I don't think it was that important before then. We didn't know that it was supposed to be important, maybe. And so with Beale Street opening back up and all that, did you gravitate more toward the blues at that point?
No, in fact, I was told by a very important guy in my life, Johnny Robinson, who was the owner of Alfred's.
I knew Johnny.
He told me I didn't belong on Beale Street.
Really?
Because I was not blues. Mm-hmm. I was more jazz and country. Mm-hmm. And rock, and I really didn't belong on Beale Street, and I thought that was very interesting. But I owe allegiance to Johnny Robinson. He has passed on, of course, but he gave me an opportunity to have a club on Beale Street. Right. So I was called Joyce Cobb's, and I thought it was going to be a great jazz club, you know? So we started it off with that. We had Noki Taylor and Sonny Williams and John Thomas Page. He's going to hate me for that. J.T. Page. And a lot of players like, we had George Coleman come in, and we had Alan Balter playing clarinet. We had Herb Ellis from Arkansas. I was trying to develop this jazz element on Beale.
Sure, yeah.
Oh man, they just weren't ready for that. Johnny comes to me, he says, get these jazz people out of here. They don't drink, they sip on 2 wines all night, listening to music. No, we want shooter crowds in here. Sure. And that's when I learned the A order of food and beverage is alcohol, is the bar. You sell the bar. Right. We want shooter crowds. We want them to drink, drink. So I said, this is what it's about. It's not really about music, it's about selling the bar, Sure. And I was kind of disappointed in that, because I really felt that if I had been given more time, it would have become a jazz club on Beale. Yeah. I really feel today we need a jazz museum. This is the home of Jimmy Lunsford, Alberta Hunter, Mulgrew Miller, George Coleman, Finest Newborn. Yep. There's nothing mentioned about their contributions coming from Memphis. James Williams, Tony Reedus, the list goes on. And I think we need a jazz club, and we need it needs to be around the tourist areas of Memphis. Hopefully that'll happen before my life is expired.
Well,
I don't know.
Was it, I mean, do you think it would have just taken more time to build that community?
Yes.
And because a lot of people think jazz is too complicated.
Yeah, you can't dance to it.
Yeah, you can't dance to it and all that. But other cities have jazz clubs.
Yes.
Other cities base a lot of their tourism on jazz music.
Well, let me ask you this: do we really have a history of jazz? It seemingly all of the jazz players from Memphis had to leave Memphis, and they didn't stay. They were all on those river boats from New Orleans when New Orleans wanted to clean up, get rid of the red light district and clean up the prostitutions and the musicians had nowhere to play, and so the history is they came through Memphis on the river boats. And it just didn't work here in Memphis. St. Louis, it worked, you know, and there's not a lot of jazz coming out of Atlanta. I was searching for clubs in Atlanta, Georgia, and so Nashville has a jazz society. They have a lot of jazz clubs, a few. So I'm thinking it just depends on what the city needs and what the city wants to promote itself. Seemingly here it's rock and roll and blues and rhythm and blues.
Right. It seems to me that music follows the culture rather than the culture following the music. And I don't even, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But when Beale Street was in its heyday, say in the 20s and 30s, you know, in that time period, all around Beale Street were neighborhoods, which those neighborhoods don't exist anymore, but there were houses of prostitution, there were saloons, there were gambling halls, and music was a part of that, a part of that life, but it was not the main part of it. It was just a part of that. So when the city fathers, Crump and that bunch, cleaned things up, you know, in the early 40s, everything started kind of going away. And then I think when Beale Street got opened back up in 1983 or whenever that was, people were saying, why isn't it catching on? And why aren't people coming, you know? And I think it was because it was just one little part of the culture that we were trying to say, this is our whole culture.
Yes. You're leaving one thing out, the British invasion.
Yes. Okay.
I think when the British said, we learned everything on blues, we love the blues.
Right.
Then the Americans started accepting blues. That's my theory. I don't know. Rolling Stones, they named after Muddy Waters song.
Muddy Waters song, right? Yeah.
Beatles, they loved, you know.
Beatles loved Carl Perkins, you know, so rockabilly stuff.
So I think that
all of
helped.
that.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people, to Memphis musicians who actually went to England and played with George Harrison and Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton people like that, because they were really looking for the authentic thing.
Absolutely.
And the Memphis musicians were the deal.
Yes, and still are.
Yes.
Let's talk about the new Memphis music.
Yes, okay.
Do you have, any
I don't know a lot of, you know, new Memphis musicians. I hear different people around, and I'm always very impressed. What I'm really impressed in a very general sense is that how they understand the business now, and they're approaching it more as a business rather than a lifestyle.
And high technology has enabled that. You can now market yourself, market your music through the internet technology, which was not heard of even in the 60s.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, you
70s.
couldn't, if you made a record in 1975, it cost, I mean, minimum $50,000, $60,000.
Right.
Probably more.
Right.
And record companies would come in and throw around, here's $250,000, and this kind of...
Recoupable.
Yeah, right, recoupable. Yes.
Watch that word.
That's right, because so many people wound up owing the record label more than they would have ever dreamed of making.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, you know, now you can do it on your computer.
Absolutely.
And people, you know, and I think this kind of democratization of, you know, the technology. So the technology is not the thing that can hamstring you anymore.
Absolutely. That's a good thing.
That's right. It's there, and you can do the same thing with filmmaking. You know,
Indie.
30 years ago, to make a short film, to make a 30-minute documentary, you'd spend $50,000.
Yeah.
I have made documentaries for less than $500,
Yeah,
for an hour long,
that's
just
great.
because, I have a camera, you buy some tape stock, and then you sit there and edit on your computer.
Absolutely.
So
It's a great day.
Yeah, it is. Technology has made this a wonderful time to be a creator.
Yes.
And I see people that are doing this all the time. Joe Mulheron's sons, Marshall
great.
and Parker. Have you heard their music?
I have. Well, yes, but I had an opportunity to meet them. And
you did?
Before it all happened, and I was so impressed.
Yeah.
With them, and then they have the Stax Academy, and
Yes.
the few that are coming out of there and becoming an international exposure of sorts. So it's wonder. Of course, if you're a son of Joe Mulheron, you better know music.
Yes, indeed.
It's like,
yes, indeed.
but it's all about the parents, your family environment. Your opportunities to be exposed. It doesn't necessarily have to be college.
Right.
It can be in travel. It can be. It's all about your formative years and how it comes. Now, what I'm impressed with the young people is their knowledge of the history of music.
Yes.
They all have idols of yesterday.
Yeah.
They have the passion of Johnson.
Yes.
They have the passion of Muddy Waters. They have passion for Aretha. They have a passion for. This produces the Amy Winehouses and the Taylor Swifts, and they've all been exposed, and they acknowledge it, they accept it, and they give claim to their styles from the artists and legends of yesterday.
Yes.
So I'm very impressed with the young and their attitudes on the social and political levels.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of that. A lot of the things that people were kind of stymied by for many years, they don't even think about those things.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing to see people be open and see the possibilities for all of us. I was talking to Luther Dickinson. One time, and I said, when I was growing up, and people my age, people our age, were our parents. Oh, don't be a musician. You'll never make any money. Don't do that. You need to cut that hair. I said, but your dad, Jim Dickinson, said, well, this is a perfectly wonderful way to live a life.
It is.
Not just make a living, but to live a life.
It is.
Go ahead and be a musician.
Absolutely.
And so they did, and they. They were with Otha Turner.
Of course.
They've heard all those things. They listened to Mississippi Fred McDowell tracks their whole life, or they were little kids and things. But that's the one thing where I think these, what would they be, fourth generation musicians have kind of come along with the permission to do that.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people do need the permission to do anything, to live the artistic life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between artistic and business, and and I would like to. I've always said we need to encourage maybe summer camps for our musicians in Memphis on business and maintaining, because business is the least of my concern.
Right.
I have the passion for the music, but how to market, how to make money, how to invest, how, it's publishing, the importance. These things need to be learned. And I think Jim Dickinson kind of taught his kids, and Sid Selvage.
Sid Selvage, right.
And Paul Taylor. They were fortunate to come from legendary families that taught them the business and taught them the music.
Yeah.
All
right, well, we're going to shift gears a little bit here.
Yeah.
I listen to your radio show.
Oh, do you really?
Every week. I love your radio show.
That's great.
So talk about that and tell us about how long you've been going with your show, what the criteria is for a song to be on your show.
A song to be, I have to just like it.
Yeah.
And That's why I like WEVL, if we can mention, because it allows you to bring your music to the station.
Yeah.
You don't have program directors telling you what music to play,
Sure.
as long as it meets the FCC requirements of language.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with WEVL back in the vinyl days when we had LPs. They were on the corner of Madison and Cleveland.
Right.
And I met Judy Dorsey, and Brian Craig, I don't think was even there at that time. But that's what I fell in love with, the freedom to play the music you love, or the music you know about, the music that you want others. It was kind of an ego thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to play this and I know that the people listening are going to really like it, you know? That's the ego thing.
Exactly.
But basically it's therapy.
Yeah.
You know, for me.
Sure.
It's very personal that I get in that little room with the phones in my ear and just get off on music that I like.
Yeah.
And hopefully the listeners like.
You play some great stuff. You play stuff that I would never hear.
Yes.
Otherwise.
That's another qualification. A requirement for WEVL. I always considered every volunteer at WEVL to be a musicologist, because they have knowledge of the music they love, the passion of the music, they have the history of it, and you could probably ask them any questions about what they play, and they can give you the information needed to know. So that it's wonderful. It's a community. It used to be community, but it's a volunteer radio station, and all the programmers are volunteers. So they must have the same feelings that I have. It's like, I'm going to play this, and I know you'll like it. You know, kind of thing.
How many years have you been doing the show?
I think it's, let's see, I have met Judy probably in early 80s.
Okay.
It's over 30 years or so I've been with WEVL.
Wow.
You know,
That's
and,
incredible.
no advertising.
Yeah, right.
You know, underwriting here and there.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all about music.
Yes.
And that's what I love about it.
And it's a rare thing. Not every city has something like that.
Absolutely. We're very blessed to have it.
Yeah.
But I grew up with WLAC, black music in Nashville. Remember Randy? Records?
Yes, right, yes.
Had full knowledge of Hank Ballard and the Midnighters.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up on, I had that too.
Yeah.
And I experienced Bobby Jones movement and black gospel in Nashville.
Right.
So it wasn't all one-sided situation. It was a combination of exposure. I'm very proud that the Winans have uplifted Nashville. It's now the black gospel capital of. It used to be Chicago, and now it's Nashville. But I really am impressed with Memphis and the diversity of music. I have from James Williams. You know, to Keith Sykes. Yeah. You know, and everything in the middle. It's all the black, white, and gray areas of music. Classical, Asparian, Callan. You know, the symphonies. It's all here. We need, and even jug band music, which I understand. Crump loved jug band music.
Yes,
and it's not from here. Jug band music.
Oh, it's not?
I thought it was from like the Kentucky area with the
probably so. And it was just people playing on instruments that they generally made or picked up.
Right,
you know, just, hey, let's play some music. Let's beat on this thing and blow on this thing. Yeah. Yeah,
but Crump loved jug band music and loved W.C. Handy. And so there's a lot of history here that I feel like maybe another lifetime, maybe I was here or something, and I'm so comfortable.
Sure.
Never thought that I would ever go to any places like LA or New York. Sometimes I have this dream like Broadway, and I've worked at Theater Memphis that satisfied me. Hattie Lou.
Right.
And
well, you're an award-winning actress. I mean, you know, let's move on to the next thing here.
Well, I'm just
do you think all of this is connected.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it is just you are being Joyce Cobb.
There is a core. It's a core of, number one, passion of the music, of the history, of the. I went to Theater Memphis with Billie Holiday.
Right.
If she had been living today, I would have been her roadie. I just adored Billie Holiday. In spite of her lifestyles, her music, her presence of imitating horns with her voice and not even knowing it.
Yeah.
So her life, I just embraced. I was given the challenge of Bessie Smith, a little different. And I wasn't quite sure if I could do that because she was raw and rough and would, sock you in the nose at any time.
Right.
But and came from Chattanooga, of course. The jazz women were kind of like East Coast, maybe a lot from Carolinas, but Philadelphia, New York, and that's what I grew up on. So I grew up on Billie. And my mother would do housework playing Billie Holiday, and so
Really?
Yeah.
Can you sing me a Billie Holiday memory that you have in your head?
Well, my favorite, and we'll be probably doing this during a presentation at university. Maybe he's not much, just another man doing what he can. But women are that way when a woman loves a man. She'll string along through thick and thin till his ship comes in. 'Cause women are that way when a woman loves a man. She may be the first one to praise him when he's going strong, last one to blame him when everything is wrong. Love is such a crazy game they play, but honey, you know that women are that way. Tell her she's a fool. She say, yes, I know, but I love him so. 'Cause that's how it goes when a woman loves a man. That's Billie.
That's
Billie.
gorgeous.
That's Billie Holiday.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And the story.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Every man has a woman that way, that loves him in spite of it all. So the lyric is important also. But that's Billie. That's her genre of material. Ella and her chops, But Billie was my favorite.
Scat singing and things. I mean,
Billie never scatted.
But Ella Fitzgerald, she just was. Do you think she just had that kind of? She was just kind of bent that way, where she just knew that she could take a melody and go anywhere with it.
If you were playing with Chick Webb or Count Basie on a given on a nightly basis, you would get the horns, and that's what vocal jazz is. It's the imitation of horn lines.
Okay.
And there's a parallel between horn players and jazz singers. They all they have the same goal, and that is make statements, and phrasing, and of course the advantage that horns don't have is the lyric, sell the lyric. But I tell students all the time, you would have gotten it too if you had been around horns every night.
Sure.
And Ella was really around some great horn players and just she was attracted to that and made her voice that. And, horn improvisation is horn,
Yeah.
So I think that's how she got it.
Right.
Her passion for it and being around it nightly, for hours. You'll get it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've done so much in your career. It seems to me that you've not ever placed any kind of restrictions on where you would go creatively.
Oh, I do.
Do you really?
The Reba Russells, the Susan Marshalls, the Betty Crutcher told me, write your music. And Wayne Crook told me, write music, develop your publishing, that's what I, really, really want to start doing at this late date, is get something out that's original, all original. I have a lot of original songs, but for some reason, it just doesn't sound like the studio, and I'm not going to do it live, I'll make any excuses, but writing, I really admire the writers of Memphis and how they use their writing on their recordings. And I would like to, that's my, dream, is to be a writer, a recording artist, writer. Because most of what I do is what they call cover tunes, as we know. But to really sit through a night of just all orchestrated, arranged, original material. Oh, I would just love to be Dylan, I would love to be Keith Sykes. I would love to be that writer that I admire. I admire the writer, the storyteller,
Well, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a humanitarian that had no limits in color and accepted people for the character and not of the color of their. I would like to be remembered as a giving person, a loving person, a person that you can come up and embrace and get a hug, maybe a kiss. That kind of person. I'd like to be remembered as knowledgeable in music and in the passion and to pursue it the best way you can. And that's about it. On my tombstone, I'd like to have said, so many songs, so little time.
There you go. I love
there
that.
You go.
I love that. I love that. Well, we're about to the end of this, I think. Can you sing me a song and sing us out?
Well, here's one. I thought maybe it would be nice if I. This is Jessie Mae Hemphill. Lord, help the poor and needy in this land. Lord, help poor and needy in this land. When we all get together under the rising sun, Lord, help the poor and needy in this land.
Memphis Public Libraries and the Memphis Library Foundation's Memphis Sound Connection is an online platform that showcases a vast collection of current local music for free. The Memphis Sound Connection looks to connect you with today's torchbearers of the Memphis Sound. If you are a musician in the Memphis area and have an album of at least 4 songs or 25 minutes, please consider submitting today. If the album is selected, an honorarium of $200 will be provided to the musician. Please visit the website or scan the QR code on the screen.
everything is Memphis.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.